Full custody of the minor child, Kong Haru, is hereby granted to the petitioner, Alpha Kong Minsok. The judge's voice echoed through the courtroom like a death sentence. I felt Haru's small hand tighten around my sleeve, his fingers digging into the fabric of my only good suit, the one I'd worn to our bonding ceremony 5 years ago. "Papa." His voice was so small. "Papa, why is everyone quiet?" I couldn't answer. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't do anything but stare at the mahogany bench where that woman in black robes had just destroyed my entire world with 23 words. Across the aisle, Minsuk stood perfectly still. Expensive suit. Perfectly styled hair. Not a single emotion on that beautiful, terrible face. He didn't even look at me. Not once during the entire hearing. Not when his lawyer painted me as unstable. Not when they brought up my modest income, my studio apartment, the fact that I'd taken 3 sick days last month when Haru had the flu. Not when I begged. My lawyer touched my shoulder. "Ji-hoon, we need to. How long do I have?" My voice cracked. "How long before he takes him?" 2 weeks for transition. "But we can appeal." 2 weeks. Before I tell you what happened next, subscribe to Starry-Eyed Lovers. And tell me where you're watching from. Because what I'm about to tell you changed everything I thought I knew about love, loss, and the man I once called home. Haru pulled at my hand. "Papa, I don't understand. Where am I going?" I knelt down, right there in the courtroom, and pulled him close. He smelled like the strawberry shampoo I'd used on him that morning, mixed with the faint scent of crayons from his backpack. 4 years old. Too young to understand that his family was being ripped apart by lawyers and old money and an alpha who'd chosen his inheritance over us. "You're going to stay with Daddy for a while," I whispered against his hair. "But Papa will visit you all the time. I promise. But I want both." His lower lip trembled. "I want you and Daddy together." Behind me, I heard footsteps. Felt the air change. That familiar cedar and rain scent that used to mean safety, warmth, coming home to strong arms and soft promises. Now it just meant pain. "The car is waiting." Minsuk's voice was cold. Professional. Like I was a stranger. Like he hadn't spent 3 years waking up next to me, hadn't held my hand through 18 hours of labor, hadn't promised forever with tears in his eyes. I stood slowly, keeping Haru close. Finally looked at him. He'd lost weight. Dark circles under those sharp eyes. Jaw tight with something that might have been restraint or regret. I couldn't tell anymore. We'd stopped being able to read each other 6 months ago, when his mother showed up at our apartment with an ultimatum and a check I'd refused to cash. "Ji-hoon, don't." I picked up Haru, settled him on my hip even though he was getting too big for it. "Just don't." His hand twitched like he wanted to reach out. Stopped. "I'll have my assistant coordinate the visitation schedule." "Your assistant?" I laughed, bitter and broken. "Of course. Can't have the great Kong Minsok personally communicating with the Omega he threw away." Something flashed in his eyes. Anger? Hurt. It disappeared too quickly for me to name it. "That's not fair." "Fair." My voice rose. Several people in the courtroom turned to stare. "You want to talk about fair? You let your family destroy us, Minsuk. You stood there and watched your mother call me a gold digger, call our son a mistake. I never called him that." His composure cracked, just slightly. "Never. But you didn't defend him either." I adjusted Haru's weight, feeling him bury his face in my neck. "You chose them. The company, the money, the perfect alpha heir life. So don't talk to me about fair." The bailiff cleared his throat. "Folks, you need to take this outside." Minsuk's jaw worked. "Haru needs stability. Structure. Things you couldn't provide." "I provided love." The words tore out of me. "I provided a home where he was wanted, where he was cherished, where he didn't have to be perfect to be loved. Can your penthouse and your board meetings give him that?" Silence. Haru whimpered. "Papa, Daddy, please don't fight." I closed my eyes. Breathed. "I'm sorry, baby." "Papa's sorry." When I opened them again, Minsuk was staring at Haru with an expression I couldn't decipher. Soft. Aching. Almost broken. "The car is waiting," he repeated quietly. I'll bring him by tomorrow. To get his things." I nodded. Couldn't trust my voice. We walked out separately. Me and Haru through one door. Minsuk through another. Like we were already strangers. The apartment felt wrong without Haru's laughter. It was past midnight, and I was supposed to be packing his things. Instead, I sat on the kitchen floor with a box of photos, torturing myself with memories of when we were whole. Minsuk's hands on my swollen belly. His lips against my temple. I can't wait to meet him, Ji-hoon. Our son. Haru's first birthday. Minsuk covered in cake frosting, laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. He's got your chaos, love. We're doomed. Our last anniversary. 2 months before everything fell apart. Minsuk's voice rough with emotion. You're my forever. Nothing will change that. Liar. I shoved the photos back into the box. Started actually packing. Haru's favorite stuffed rabbit. The blue blanket he'd had since birth. Clothes sorted by size. His toothbrush with the dinosaur handle. The nightlight shaped like a moon because he was scared of the dark. Every item felt like giving away a piece of my heart. The apartment was too quiet. Usually, I'd be stepping over toy trucks and negotiating bedtime. Reading stories in funny voices. Tickling him until he shrieked with laughter. Now there was just silence and the sound of packing tape and my own ragged breathing. I moved to my bedroom. Started packing my own things. Minsuk owned this place. Had bought it when we bonded, saying he wanted Haru to grow up somewhere beautiful. Somewhere safe. Now I had 2 weeks to find somewhere else to be. The closet still had some of Minsuk's clothes. Shirts he'd forgotten. A tie. That leather jacket he'd worn on our first date, when he'd been nervous and sweet and so different from the cold stranger in the courtroom. I grabbed one of his shirts without thinking. Pressed it to my face. It still smelled like him. God, I was pathetic. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk Mr. Kim Ji-hoon. This is Lee Soo-jin, Mr. Kong Minsok's executive assistant. Per the custody agreement, Haru's belongings should be delivered to the following address by Friday, 3 p.m. Mr. Kong requests no direct contact outside of scheduled visitations. A formal schedule will be sent within 48 hours. Please confirm receipt, asterisk. I stared at the message. Read it twice. 3 times. Mr. Kong requests no direct contact. Like I was a stranger. Like we hadn't built a life together. Like I hadn't spent 3 years as his partner, his lover, his bonded Omega. Like I was nothing. My hands shook. I typed back, confirmed. 1 word. That's all I could manage. I looked around the apartment. At the kitchen where Minsuk used to dance with me while cooking. At the couch where we'd curled up for movie nights. At the window where he'd stood that terrible night, his mother's ultimatum hanging between us like a blade. Choose, Minsuk. The company or him. And he'd chosen. I grabbed another box. Kept packing. Because that's what you do when your world ends. You pack. You move. You survive. Even when you can't breathe. Even when every cell in your body screams that this is wrong, that you're leaving home, that you're breaking something that can't be fixed. You survive. Haru's drawing from last week stared up at me from the coffee table. 3 stick figures holding hands. Papa, Daddy, and me, he'd explained proudly. I folded it carefully. Tucked it into my wallet. Then I kept packing. Table 7 wants another Americano. And the guy at the counter is asking if we do oat milk. I grabbed the milk pitcher without looking up. Tell him yes. $2 extra. Ji-hoon, you okay? My coworker Mina touched my arm. You've been staring at that espresso machine for like 3 minutes. I blinked. The cafe came back into focus. The hiss of steam, the chatter of customers, the smell of coffee beans masking the permanent ache in my chest. 2 weeks since the custody hearing. 14 days of waking up in a studio apartment that wasn't home, working double shifts to afford rent. Seeing my son only on supervised weekend visits. I'm fine. I forced a smile. Just tired. You're always tired now. She hesitated. Is it about Haru? The name hit like a fist. I turned away, started making the Americano with mechanical precision. I don't want to talk about it. She dropped it. Mina was good like that. Knew when to push and when to let me drown in silence. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I ignored it. Probably another formal message from Minsuk's assistant. Everything went through her now. Visitation schedules. Drop-off times. Haru's school updates. All delivered in cold, professional language like I was a client, not the person who'd shared Minsuk's bed for 3 years. The lunch rush blurred together. Orders. Smiles. Small talk. Pretending I wasn't falling apart. By closing time, my feet ached and my hands smelled like coffee grounds and failure. I checked my phone on the walk home. 3 messages. Lee Soo-jin. Haru's allergy documentation is required for school enrollment. Please deliver to Mr. Kang's residence by Thursday 6 p.m. Lee Soo-jin. Attached is the updated visitation schedule. Note the time change for this Saturday. Unknown number. Papa, Daddy says I can call you now. I miss you. When are you coming home? The last one broke me. I stopped in the middle of the sidewalk, people flowing around me like water around a stone. Haru had learned to text. Minsuk had given him a phone. I typed back with shaking fingers. I miss you too, baby. Papa will see you this Saturday. I love you so much. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Love you too, Papa. Daddy says he. The message cut off. No follow-up. I stared at the screen for 5 minutes, waiting. Nothing came. What had Minsuk said? What had he stopped Haru from typing? I pocketed the phone and kept walking. That night, I couldn't sleep. Lay in my cramped studio staring at the ceiling, remembering. 6 months ago. The night it all fell apart. Minsuk stood by the window of our apartment, his mother's words still hanging in the air like poison. She'd left 10 minutes ago, her ultimatum delivered with surgical precision. Choose, Minsuk. The company or this arrangement. I sat on the couch, Haru asleep in his room, my world crumbling. Say something. What do you want me to say? His voice was hollow. That you'll fight for us. That your mother can't just, my breath hitched. That we matter more than money. He turned. His eyes were red but dry. It's not just money, Ji-hoon. It's everything my father built. Hundreds of employees. Responsibilities. And what about your responsibility to your son? I stood, anger rising. To me? We bonded, Minsuk. That's supposed to mean something. It does. His hands clenched. But she'll destroy you if I don't comply. Drag you through the media. Make sure you never work again. She has that power. So you're protecting me by leaving me? I laughed bitterly. How noble. I'm protecting Haru. His voice cracked. If this gets ugly, he'll be caught in the middle. At least this way. This way what? He grows up thinking love is conditional? That family can be bought and sold. Silence stretched between us. I need time, he finally said. To figure this out. How much time? I don't know. I walked to the door. Grabbed my jacket. When you figure it out, we might not be here anymore. I'd spent that night at Mina's. Came back the next morning to find Minsuk gone and divorce papers on the kitchen table. Would you forgive someone who mistook your pain for love? Comment below, because what happened next made me question everything I thought I knew about letting go. Thursday arrived too quickly. I stood outside Minsuk's building clutching Haru's medical folder like a shield. The penthouse. Of course he'd moved to a penthouse. Probably had a view of the entire city, a reminder of everything his mother's money could buy. The lobby was all marble and glass and hostile elegance. The doorman looked me up and down, clearly unimpressed by my thrift store jacket and worn sneakers. I'm here to see Kong Minsok. I have documents. Mr. Kong is expecting you. 32nd floor. His tone suggested I didn't belong. The elevator ride felt eternal. I watched the numbers climb, my heart rate climbing with them. I hadn't seen Minsuk since the courthouse. 2 weeks of carefully maintained distance. Everything filtered through his assistant. Now I had to face him. The doors opened to a private hallway. One door. I knocked. Footsteps. The lock turning. Then Minsuk stood there, and my breath caught despite everything. He looked terrible. Beautiful and terrible. Hair unstyled, falling into his eyes. White shirt wrinkled, sleeves rolled up. Dark circles that matched mine. For a moment, we just stared at each other. Ji-hoon. My name sounded rusty in his mouth. I have Haru's medical files. I held out the folder, keeping distance between us. The allergy documentation. Your assistant said. Papa. Haru appeared behind Minsuk like a small rocket, squeezing past his father's legs and launching himself at me. I dropped to my knees, caught him, buried my face in his hair. He smelled like different shampoo. Expensive. Wrong. Baby, hi. I missed you so much. I missed you more. He pulled back, grinning. Daddy's place is really big. Want to see my room? It has a bunk bed, even though I'm the only one, but Daddy says maybe I'll want friends to sleep over, and there's a TV and… Haru. Minsuk's voice was gentle. Let Papa breathe. I stood slowly, Haru's hand tight in mine. Met Minsuk's eyes over our son's head. Something passed between us. Grief, maybe. Or recognition of what we'd destroyed. Come in, Minsuk said quietly. Please. I hesitated. I should just. Daddy made your favorite. Haru tugged my hand. The pasta with the white sauce. He made me help stir. My favorite. Minsuk had made my favorite dish. I looked at him. He looked away. Just for a few minutes, he said. Haru's been asking all week when you'd visit. How could I say no? The penthouse was obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Minimalist furniture. Everything cold and perfect, and nothing like the home we'd built together. But then I saw it, Haru's drawings taped to the refrigerator. His toy trucks lined up by the couch. Small signs of life invading the sterile space. Sit, Papa. Haru dragged me to the dining table. Minsuk moved in the kitchen with practiced efficiency. He'd always been good at this. Cooking had been his way of showing love when words failed. I watched his hands, those elegant, careful hands that used to trace patterns on my skin, that had held me through labor, that had signed divorce papers without shaking. Juice or water? He asked without turning. Water's fine. He poured 3 glasses. Brought out plates. The pasta was perfect. Of course it was. Minsuk didn't do anything halfway. We sat. Haru chattered about preschool, his new room, the park nearby. Minsuk and I ate in careful silence. Years of intimacy, now a chasm neither of us knew how to cross. Papa, are you staying tonight? Haru asked suddenly. I nearly choked on my water. Baby, no. Papa has work tomorrow. But you used to live here. With me and Daddy. His lower lip jutted out. Why can't you live here again? Minsuk set down his fork. Haru, I don't like it when you're separate. Tears welled in Haru's eyes. My friend Miho has a mama and papa who live together. Why can't you? The silence was crushing. Sometimes adults need to live in different places, I said carefully. But that doesn't mean we love you any less. Do you still love Daddy? The question hung in the air like a bomb. I looked at Minsuk. He'd gone very still, eyes fixed on his plate. It's complicated, sweetheart. That means yes. Haru's face lit up. Teacher says when grown-ups say complicated, it means yes, but they're scared to say it. Your teacher talks too much, Minsuk muttered. Despite everything, I almost smiled. After dinner, Haru begged me to read him a story. Minsuk nodded toward the hallway. His room is the second door. I followed Haru, acutely aware of Minsuk's gaze on my back. The bedroom was twice the size of my entire studio. Bunk bed, toy chest, reading nook with pillows. Everything a child could want. Everything except both his parents under one roof. Haru climbed into bed with his stuffed rabbit. This one, Papa. He handed me a worn copy of Where the Wild Things Are. The one I'd read to him 1,000 times. I settled beside him and started reading. Halfway through, he yawned and curled into my side. Papa. Yes, baby? Daddy cries sometimes at night. I hear him. My throat closed. Does he? He thinks I'm asleep, but I'm not. Haru's voice got smaller. He says your name. He says I'm sorry a lot. I couldn't speak. Just held him tighter and finished the story with a voice that kept breaking. By the end, Haru was asleep. I tucked him in, kissed his forehead, and slipped out. Minsuk stood in the hallway like he'd been waiting. Like he'd been listening. He's out, I whispered. Thank you. Minsuk's hands were in his pockets. For coming. For staying. He's my son. I'd do anything for him. I know. Something flickered in his eyes. Ji-hoon. I should go. I moved past him toward the door. Thanks for dinner. Wait. I stopped but didn't turn around. He still calls you Papa, Minsuk said quietly. He still asks when you're coming home. This is his home now. The words tasted like ash. You made sure of that. That's not fair. I spun around. You keep saying that, but you don't get to decide what's fair anymore. You gave up that right when you chose your mother over your family. I chose to protect you. His composure cracked. She would have destroyed you, Ji-hoon. Publicly. Completely. I couldn't. So you destroyed me privately instead. My voice shook. That was kinder, you think? He stepped closer. Every day without you is hell. Good. Ji-hoon. Don't. I backed toward the elevator. Don't make this harder than it already is. He followed. I made a mistake. I know that now. Now. I jabbed the elevator button. Now that you have everything you wanted? The company, the custody, the perfect Alpha Air life. I don't have you. The elevator dinged. Doors opened. I stepped inside, desperate for escape. Minsuk caught the door. Stepped into the small space with me. Too close. I could smell him, cedar and rain and desperation. Let me go, Minsuk. I can't. His voice dropped to something raw. Broken. Ji-hoon, come home. Please. The air left my lungs. Home. That word. That impossible, beautiful, devastating word. His hand lifted like he wanted to touch my face. Stopped inches away. Come home to us. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. The elevator walls closed in. His eyes held mine. dark and pleading and full of everything I'd spent 2 weeks trying to forget. The doors started to close. I didn't stop them. Watched Minsuk's face fracture as the metal barrier slid between us. His lips formed my name one more time. Then he was gone. I slid down the elevator wall, gasping, trembling. Come home. As if it were that simple. As if home hadn't burned to the ground the night he chose money over love. As if I could ever breathe in that space again. Excuse me, are you Haru's papa? I looked up from my phone outside the preschool gates. A woman in expensive athleisure stood there, perfectly manicured nails gripping a designer purse. Another alpha parent, probably. They always had that look, like they owned the air they breathed. I am. Why? I just wanted to say, she smiled, saccharine sweet. It's so nice that Mr. Kong lets you visit. My ex barely gets supervised time. You must have done something right. The condescension dripped like poison. I forced a smile. Thanks. Of course, having an alpha parent as primary is always better for stability. Especially for young pups. They need that firm hand, you know? I was saved from responding by the school bell. Children poured out, and Haru spotted me immediately. Papa! He ran over, backpack bouncing. Then stopped. Wait, is it your day? My chest tightened. No, baby. I wanted to see you. Is that okay? Okay. He hugged my legs. Daddy's inside talking to Teacher Lee. Wanna come? Every instinct screamed no. I don't think. Ji-hoon. Minsuk emerged from the building, and my body betrayed me with recognition. Casual today, jeans and a sweater that used to be mine. He'd kept it. The realization twisted something in my gut. What are you doing here? His voice was careful. Not accusatory. Just surprised. I wanted to see Haru. I lifted my chin. That's not against the custody agreement. I didn't say it was. He crouched beside Haru. Hey, buddy. Why don't you show Papa your art project? I'll get the car. Haru grabbed my hand, chattering about finger painting and snack time. I let him pull me toward the parking lot, hyper-aware of Minsuk walking 3 steps behind. Not crowding. Just there. The car was new. Black. Expensive. Everything in Minsuk's life was expensive now. I can take the bus, I said. Don't be ridiculous. It's cold. Minsuk opened the back door for Haru. Just let me drive you home. Why? He met my eyes over the car roof. Because Haru wants both his parents around. And because he stopped. Please. That word again. Please. Like it cost him something. I got in. The drive was silent except for Haru's commentary on his day. Minsuk drove with the same careful precision he did everything. Hands at 10 and 2. Turn signals. No music. Like he was afraid any sound might shatter whatever fragile piece we'd found. When we pulled up to my building, he turned in his seat. Saturday. Would you want to? Haru has a play date at the park. You could come. If you want. That's your custody day. I'm inviting you anyway. His jaw worked. He misses you. And I thought maybe it would be good. For him. For him. Always for Haru. Never for us. I'll think about it, I said, and got out before I could change my mind. Saturday, I went to the park. Told myself it was just for Haru. That Minsuk's tentative invitation meant nothing. That the way my heart raced when I spotted them on the swings was just adrenaline. Papa! Haru jumped off mid-swing. Jesus, that kid had no fear, and barreled into me. You came. Daddy said you might. Of course I came. I ruffled his hair. I promised. Minsuk approached slowly, 2 coffee cups in hand. He held one out. Caramel macchiato. Extra shot. No whip. My order. He remembered my order. Thanks. I took it, careful not to let our fingers touch. We sat on a bench while Haru played with 2 other kids. Awkward silence stretched between us like a wound. He's doing well, Minsuk said finally. Adjusting to the new school. Making friends. Good. That's good. He asks about you every night. Minsuk's voice dropped. Wants to know when you're visiting. If you're eating enough. If you're lonely. And what do you tell him? That you're strong. That you're taking care of yourself. He paused. That I hope you're not too lonely. I sipped the coffee. Perfect temperature. Perfect sweetness. He'd always been good at the small things. Why are you doing this? I asked quietly. Doing what? This. I gestured between us. The coffee. The invitations. Showing up at school. What do you want, Minsuk? He stared at the playground. Haru was going down the slide, laughing. I want to be a family again. We're not a family. We're 2 people sharing custody. We could be more. He finally looked at me. If you'd let us. You don't get to decide that anymore. I stood. You made your choice 6 months ago. I made the wrong choice. He stood too, closer than necessary. I know that now. Every day I know it. Knowing and fixing are different things. Then let me fix it. Desperation bled into his voice. Tell me how. Please, Ji-hoon. Tell me how to fix this. Would you forgive someone who mistook your pain for love? Comment below, because what I said next changed everything between us. You can't, I whispered. Some things stay broken. I left before he could respond. Before I could see the way his face crumpled. Before I could do something stupid like forgive him. But Minsuk didn't stop. Tuesday, he showed up at the cafe during my shift with Haru. Car trouble, he claimed. Needed coffee while waiting for a tow. Sat at a corner table doing work emails while Haru colored and asked me questions every 5 minutes. Thursday, my studio apartment's heater broke. Landlord said it'd be 3 days minimum. I was preparing to freeze when Minsuk texted. Guest room is available. For Haru's sake. You shouldn't be cold. I didn't go. Slept in 2 sweaters and my winter coat instead. Friday, he was at the grocery store. Coincidence, he said, but helped carry my bags anyway. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, he kept appearing. Never pushy. Never demanding. Just present. Like he was trying to stitch himself back into my life one mundane moment at a time. You're stalking me. I told him Tuesday night when he showed up at my door with soup. You mentioned you had a cold. He held out the container. Haru was worried. Haru told you. He tells me everything about you. Minsuk's smile was sad. He's my main source of Ji-hoon updates. I took the soup. Hated that it smelled exactly like the kind he used to make when I was sick. You can't just show up whenever you want. I'm not trying to intrude. He ran a hand through his hair. Frustrated. Tired. I don't know how else to show you I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix custody agreements. I know. He stepped back. But maybe it's a start. He left before I could argue. The soup was perfect. 2 weeks into Minsuk's persistent haunting, my heat cycle started. I felt it Thursday morning. The restless ache in my bones, the hypersensitivity to scents, the irritability that meant I had maybe 48 hours before the worst hit. Years of suppressants had made my heats manageable, but they still came. Still left me vulnerable and shaking and desperately alone. I called in sick to work. Stocked up on water and easy food. Locked my door and prepared to ride it out. By Friday evening, I was trembling. The heat suppressants kept the worst at bay, but they couldn't stop the biological imperative that screamed for an alpha's presence. Any alpha would do, technically. But my body was imprinted on Minsuk. 3 years of bonding had written his scent into my DNA. My phone rang. Minsuk's number. I ignored it. It rang again. Then a text. Haru wants to say goodnight. Another text. Ji-hoon, are you okay? You sound different in your voicemail. Then, if you need anything, I'm here. I threw the phone across the room. Curled into myself on the bathroom floor, where the tiles were cold against my fever-hot skin. This was fine. I'd done this alone before. I could do it again. The door buzzer made me jump. Go away, I yelled. Ji-hoon, open the door. Minsuk's voice through the intercom. I can smell you from here. You're in heat. Not your problem. Bullshit. He pounded on the door. Let me in. No. Ji-hoon, please. You shouldn't be alone right now. I've been alone for 6 months. My voice cracked. I can handle one more night. Silence. Then, I'm calling your landlord. Medical emergency exemption. Don't you dare. Then open the goddamn door. I dragged myself up. Unlocked it. Minsuk nearly fell through, then stopped dead. I knew how I looked. Sweat-soaked shirt. Shaking hands. Eyes probably dilated. The scent pouring off me, desperate, needy, Omega in heat. Jesus. He shut the door quickly. Why didn't you call me? Why would I? I backed away. You're not my alpha anymore. Something in his expression broke. I'll always be your alpha. Biology doesn't care about divorce papers. He was right. My body recognized him. The cedar and rain scent that meant safety, protection, home. The trembling eased slightly just having him in the room. You should go, I whispered. Before this gets complicated. It's already complicated. He shrugged off his jacket. Where are your suppressants? Kitchen counter. But they're not, I swayed. He caught me, and the touch sent electricity through every nerve. Minsuk, don't. I'm not doing anything except making sure you don't collapse. He guided me to the couch. Sit. I'll get water. He moved through my tiny apartment with familiar efficiency. Found the suppressants. Brought water and crackers. Sat on the floor in front of the couch, close enough to help, far enough not to crowd. Take these. He handed me pills. I did. Hated how my hands shook. Hated how his presence made the ache bearable. You don't have to stay, I said. I'm staying. Minsuk, do you really want to be alone right now? His eyes held mine. Honestly? No. God, no. The heat made everything worse. Loneliness, fear, the desperate need for connection. But admitting that felt like losing. I don't want to need you, I whispered. I know. He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away. When I didn't, his hand closed around mine. But you do. And I'm here. The touch grounded me. His thumb traced circles on my wrist. An old habit, something he used to do to calm me. My breathing slowed. Just tonight, I said. Then you leave. Just tonight, he agreed. He stayed through the worst of it. Didn't touch me beyond holding my hand. Didn't try anything. Just sat there, solid and present, while my body remembered what it meant to have an alpha nearby during heat. We didn't talk much. What was there to say? But around 3 a.m., when the fever broke and I could think clearly again, I found myself asking, why did you really let your mother win? Minsuk was quiet for a long time. Because I was a coward. She threatened to destroy you publicly. Drag you through the media. Make sure you couldn't work, couldn't live normally. And I was terrified. His voice roughened. I thought if I gave her what she wanted, if I stepped back, she'd leave you alone. That you'd be free to live without her poison. But you took Haru. I thought. He stopped. I thought he'd be safer with me. Protected by the family name. I didn't realize I was the poison he needed protecting from. You're not poison. I destroyed our family. What else would you call it? I looked at our joined hands. Afraid. I'd call you afraid. Does that make it better? No. I pulled away slightly. But it makes it understandable. Dawn light crept through the window. Minsuk looked exhausted. Beautiful and exhausted and so achingly familiar. You should sleep, I said. So should you. I meant in the bed. I'll take the couch. Ji-hoon. A sharp knock on the door made us both freeze. Mr. Kim Ji-hoon? A woman's voice. Cold. Cultured. Familiar in the worst way. I know my son is in there. Open the door. Now. Minsuk's face went white. Fuck. Fuck, how did she? She followed you? Horror crept through me. Another knock. I won't ask again. Minsuk stood. Stay here. I'll handle. I pushed past him and opened the door. Minsuk's mother stood there in a designer coat and enough contempt to fill the room. Her eyes swept over me, disheveled, obviously post-heat, and her lip curled. How predictable. She turned to Minsuk. I had hoped you'd learned your lesson. Mother, this isn't. Save it. She stepped into my apartment uninvited. I have a lawyer preparing a custody modification as we speak. Evidence of the Omega's unstable living conditions. His inability to manage his own biology. My son being lured here during a vulnerable state. That's not what happened. I found my voice. Isn't it? She smiled like a shark. You're in heat. He's here. Rather damning, don't you think? Minsuk moved between us. You need to leave. No, Minsuk. He needs to leave. She looked at me with Arctic disdain. Out of your life. Out of my grandson's life. I gave you a chance to do this cleanly. You refused. So now I'll make sure you never see Haru again. The words hit like a physical blow. You can't, I started. I can do whatever I want. I have the money. The lawyers. The influence. She turned to Minsuk. And if you continue this pathetic attempt at reconciliation, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of Omega he is. The heat cycles. The dependency. The emotional instability. No court will grant visitation after that. Get out. Minsuk's voice was ice. Now, you have 24 hours to end this. Or I file the motion. She walked to the door. Choose wisely this time, Minsuk. You won't get another chance. She left. The silence was deafening. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. My apartment felt contaminated by her presence, her threats, her casual destruction of everything I had left. Ji-hoon, Minsuk reached for me. I jerked away. Don't touch me. She's bluffing. She can't actually. Can't she? I laughed, broken and bitter. She did it before. She'll do it again. I won't let her. You already did. The words exploded out of me. 6 months ago, you let her win. You'll do it again. You'll choose the easy path, and I'll be the one who loses Haru completely. That's not. Get out. I walked to the door. Held it open. Get out of my home. Get out of my life. Just leave. Ji-hoon, please. Leave. He left. And I collapsed against the door, gasping for air that wouldn't come, drowning in the ruins of a hope I'd been stupid enough to let grow. Mr. Kim? This is Bright Minds Preschool. Haru collapsed during recess. We've called an ambulance. The phone slipped from my hand. I was moving before conscious thought caught up, grabbing my jacket, my keys, my wallet. The cafe manager called after me, but I was already out the door, running. The hospital was 15 minutes away by car. I didn't have a car. I ran to the bus stop, lungs burning, then gave up and flagged a taxi I couldn't afford. Seoul General. Emergency entrance. Please hurry. The driver must have seen something in my face because he drove like we were racing death itself. I burst through the emergency room doors, wild-eyed and breathless. Kong Haru. 4 years old. They brought him in. Pediatric ICU, 3rd floor. The nurse pointed. Are you family? I'm his father. She didn't question which kind. Just nodded and let me through. The elevator took centuries. I counted every second, every floor, every breath that Haru might not be taking. The doors opened and I ran down the hallway, following signs until I saw him. Minsuk stood outside a room, head bowed, hands clenched at his sides. Still in a business suit. He must have come from work. Must have dropped everything just like I had. He looked up. Our eyes met. Then we were moving, crashing into each other in the middle of that sterile hallway. Not an embrace. Just collision. 2 parents holding each other up, because standing alone was impossible. What happened? My voice cracked against his shoulder. High fever. Seizure. They don't know yet. His arms tightened. Ji-hoon, I can't if something happens. Nothing's happening. I pulled back to see his face. Red eyes. Tear tracks. Minsuk never cried. He's strong. He's going to be fine. You don't know that. Yes, I do. I gripped his shirt. Because he's ours. And we don't give up. A doctor emerged from the room. We separated instantly, like teenagers caught doing something forbidden. Mr. Kong, the doctor looked between us. And you are? Ji-hoon Kim. I'm Haru's other father. The words came out defensive. She nodded without judgment. Haru has bacterial meningitis. We've started antibiotics and he's stable, but the next 48 hours are critical. He's asking for both of you. We moved as one unit into the room. Haru looked so small in the hospital bed, for lines snaking from his tiny arm. Oxygen mask fogging with each breath. But his eyes opened when we entered. Papa. His voice was muffled. Daddy. I was at his bedside immediately, Minsuk right behind me. We're here, baby. Both of us. Don't fight anymore. Tears slipped down Haru's face. Please don't fight. Minsuk's hand found mine on the bed rail. Squeezed. We're not fighting, buddy. We're right here. Together. Promise. Promise, we said in unison. Haru's eyes drifted closed. The doctor assured us he was just sleeping, that rest was good. But watching him lie there so fragile, so vulnerable, it shattered something in both of us. Have you ever loved again after loss? Share your story in the comments, because what happened in that hospital room showed me that some kinds of love never really die. They just wait. 48 hours. The hospital became our world. Minsuk left once to get clothes and came back with a bag for me too. My favorite sweater. Comfortable pants. He'd remembered what I kept at the old apartment, or maybe he'd bought new ones. I didn't ask. We took turns at Haru's bedside. One of us sleeping in the chair while the other kept watch. The nurses assumed we were together, kept calling us Haru's parents without distinction. We didn't correct them. Hour 32, Minsuk brought coffee from the cafeteria. Sat beside me while Haru slept. I told my mother to go to hell, he said quietly. I looked at him. What? After I left your apartment. I went to her house. Told her if she came near you or Haru again, I'd burn the company to the ground myself. He sipped his coffee, hand steady. She threatened to disown me. I told her to do it. Minsuk, I should have done it 6 months ago. Should have chosen you the first time. His voice roughened. I was so afraid of losing everything that I lost the only things that mattered. Your company is just money, just buildings and contracts and bullshit that means nothing without people to share it with. He turned to me. I kept thinking I was protecting you by pushing you away, but I was just protecting myself. From her anger, from choosing hard things, from being brave enough to fight for what I loved. I couldn't speak. Just stared at this man who'd broken me and was now breaking himself open to show me the wreckage inside. I don't expect forgiveness, he continued. I don't deserve it. But I need you to know, I choose you. I choose Haru. I choose this family even if it costs me everything else. What about the custody agreement? Fuck the custody agreement. His laugh was bitter. I never wanted it. My mother pushed for it, said it would force you to comply with her demands. I thought. He stopped. I thought if I had legal custody, I could protect Haru from her machinations. But all I did was hurt you both. So what now? Now I fight. For real this time. He looked at Haru. Shared custody. Equal parenting. I'll tear up the current agreement if you want. Or we can. He trailed off. We can what? Try again. The words were barely audible. If you'd want that. If you'd ever trust me again. I thought about the past 6 months. The loneliness. The anger. The way my body still recognized his scent as home. The way Haru lit up when we were together. The way Minsuk had shown up over and over, quietly trying to prove himself. I don't know if I can trust you, I said honestly. You broke something in me, Minsuk. It doesn't just heal because you apologize. I know. But I took a shaky breath. I'm willing to try. For Haru. And maybe. I looked at our son, so small and brave. Maybe for us too. His hand found mine. Tentative. Hopeful. I didn't pull away. Hour 45, Haru's fever spiked again. The doctors rushed in with new medications, adjusting 4 lines while we stood helplessly in the corner. Haru cried out in his delirium, words tumbling together. Papa. Daddy, don't leave. Please don't leave. We're not leaving. I pushed toward the bed, but a nurse held me back. Haru, baby, we're right here. Both of you. Even sick, even half-conscious, he needed confirmation. Promise you're both here? We promise. Minsuk's voice broke. We're not going anywhere, son. Never again. The doctors stabilized him. The fever broke. And Haru slipped into genuine sleep, no longer thrashing, no longer crying. Just breathing steady and even. I collapsed into Minsuk's arms. Let him hold me while I shook. Let myself break, because he was solid enough to catch the pieces. I can't lose him, I whispered. I can't. You won't. We won't. His lips pressed to my hair. He's strong. Like his papa. We stayed like that. 2 broken people holding each other together in a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and fear. And somehow, it felt like the first honest moment we'd shared in months. Hour 48. The doctor came in smiling. The antibiotics are working. Fever's down, vitals are stable. He's going to be fine. The relief was physical. Minsuk actually stumbled. I caught him this time, held him up while he tried not to cry. Failed. We both failed at not crying. Haru woke an hour later, groggy but alert. Papa. Daddy. Right here, baby. I kissed his forehead. Both of us. He looked between us, noting the tear tracks, the way we stood close together. You're not fighting? No fighting, Minsuk promised. Not anymore. Are you? Haru's voice got small. Are you getting back together? Minsuk and I exchanged glances. So much unsaid. So much still broken. But also possibility. Hope. The fragile beginning of something that might heal. We're working on it, I said carefully. Would you like that? Yes. Haru's face lit up despite his exhaustion. I want us to be a family again. A real family. We've always been a real family, sweetheart. Minsuk sat on the edge of the bed. Even when Papa and I weren't together. You made us a family the day you were born. But I want both of you. Together. Haru grabbed both our hands. Please. I looked at Minsuk. Really looked. Saw the exhaustion, the regret, the desperate hope. Saw the man who'd sung to our unborn child. Who'd held me through labor. Who'd made me laugh until I couldn't breathe. Who'd also broken my heart and left me shattered on a courtroom floor. Could I forgive him? Could I trust him not to choose wrong again? I didn't know. But looking at Haru, looking at the 3 of us connected by his small hands, I knew I wanted to try. Okay, I whispered. Okay, we'll try. They released Haru 3 days later with strict instructions about rest and medication. Minsuk insisted we come to the penthouse. More room, better amenities, closer to the hospital if anything happened. I should have argued. Should have maintained boundaries. Instead, I packed a bag and let him drive us home. Home. The word still felt dangerous. Haru fell asleep in the car. Minsuk carried him to his room while I stood in the living room, awkward and uncertain. This place still felt foreign. Too big. Too cold. Not the cozy apartment where we'd built our life. Minsuk returned. I set up the guest room for you. Fresh sheets. Your own bathroom. Whatever you need. Thank you. Silence stretched. Then, Ji-hoon. He took a step closer. I meant what I said in the hospital. I'm done choosing wrong. Whatever it takes to rebuild this. I'm in. Even if your mother fights it? Especially then. His jaw set. She doesn't get a vote anymore. This is our family. Mine and yours and Haru's. Nobody else's. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to so badly. But belief required trust, and trust required time. One day at a time, I said. That's all I can promise. One day at a time. He smiled, small and fragile. I'll take it. The first week was strange. Minsuk worked from home to be near Haru. I took family leave from the cafe. We orbited each other carefully, polite, gentle, terrified of breaking the tentative peace. But small things shifted. Minsuk made breakfast while I gave Haru his medicine. I folded laundry while he answered work emails. We took turns reading bedtime stories, sometimes ending up both in Haru's room, both listening to his sleepy questions. Are you staying, Papa? For a while, baby. Forever. I looked at Minsuk across the dimly lit room. He looked back, hopeful and afraid. We'll see, I said softly. But I'm here now. That seemed to be enough. For Haru. For this moment. For the fragile, growing thing between Minsuk and me that wasn't quite love anymore, but wasn't quite over either. One night, second week, I couldn't sleep. Wandered to the kitchen for water and found Minsuk there, staring at nothing. Can't sleep either? I asked. He shook his head. Keep thinking about how close we came to losing him. But we didn't. This time. He turned to me. What about next time? What if something happens and we're not together? What if he needs both of us and we're? Minsuk. I crossed the kitchen. Stood close enough to touch. We're here now. That's what matters. Is it enough? His voice dropped. Am I enough? After everything I did. I thought about it. Really thought. About forgiveness and trust and the way my heart still stuttered when he smiled. About Haru's laughter when we were all together. About coming home. Not to a place, but to people. Ask me in a year, I said. Ask me after you've proven you meant everything you said in that hospital. I will. He reached out slowly, giving me time to move away. I didn't. His hand cupped my face with infinite gentleness. I'll spend every day proving it, Ji-hoon. I promise. I leaned into the touch. Just slightly. Just enough. Then I guess we'll see. Dawn broke through the windows, painting us in soft gold light. Two people, broken and healing. A family fractured and slowly mending. Not perfect. Not fixed. But together. And maybe that was enough. Morning came soft. Haru padded into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. Papa. Daddy. Why are you both up? Couldn't sleep, Minsuk said, stepping back from me with reluctance. Want pancakes? With chocolate chips? Obviously. I watched them. Haru climbing onto a stool, Minsuk pulling out ingredients. Domestic. Easy. Like we'd never been apart. Papa, you're smiling, Haru observed. Am I? Yeah. He grinned. You look happy. I met Minsuk's eyes over Haru's head. Saw my own fragile hope reflected there. Maybe I am, I said softly. Maybe we all are. And for now, in the golden morning light with my son's laughter and my ex-lover's tentative smile, it was enough.